The GoPro Hero 9 has come out with a whole lot of hype and a whole lot of extra tech specs, but just how good is it? Hands on Tech is brought to you from LastPass Studios. Using the same password everywhere is a security nightmare waiting to happen. LastPass easily creates unique passwords for every site. Visit lastpass.com/twit.
This is TWiT.
This episode of Hands on Tech is brought to you by LastPass. Allow your remote workforce the ability to do their best work securely without jumping through hoops. Visit lastpass.com/twit. Hey, what's going on, everybody? I am at Pruitt, and this is Hands on Tech. I hope you all are doing well. I'm unbelievable as always. And yes, I am feeling really good because I've been able to play with a new camera for the last couple of weeks. It's the mighty, tiny-ish, awesome GoPro Hero9 Black action camera. This thing is an absolute wonder. And I'm not going to sit here and say it's something that I'm going to particularly use for myself on a regular basis, but this thing has so many different capabilities and use cases that you may even find it quite useful for yourself. But let's go ahead and get into it, because I know you all as TWiT listeners are big old tech spec heads and love all of the tech nerdy specs and stuff. So let's knock all of that out of the way right now. Okay, so what do you get with the GoPro? You get a 20 megapixel sensor on this. This is a slight improvement from the previous versions of the GoPro Hero. In addition to that, you get a larger battery, and I'll speak more to that here shortly. The battery is now just over 1700 milliamp hours. Video wise, you're able to shoot 5K resolution at 30 frames per second, but you don't necessarily have to do that. I don't care to do it, but you can do that at 5K, but you can also shoot 4K at up to 60 frames per second. And if you're looking to do some beautiful slow-mo footage, shoot it at 1080p up to 240 frames per second. That is quite compelling in my book. It's waterproof up to 33 feet, such a random number. Why not 40 feet? Why not 30 feet? And it doesn't have to have one of those big old housing cases on it like you used to back in the day with GoPro. Now it's just right out the box, ready to go, dump it in a tank of water, and it's totally fine. Okay, now inside this bundle, it comes with the GoPro camera, of course, which I actually have already taken it out. It's right here. I'll show it to you here in a second. But it comes with a couple of different clips and accessories to help you mount this thing a little bit better at various places and onto various devices. It also comes with this handle, or this grip, where you can just mount it here and hold it up in front of you for vlogging and things of that nature. It also comes with the USB-C charging cable and an additional 1700 milliamp battery. That is part of the bundle package. If you don't get the bundle package, you'll just get the camera itself and the 32 gigabyte SD card on the inside. Yeah, the 32 gigabyte SD card comes in both of these, the bundle or just the camera body alone. Now, looking at this thing, it is a bit heavier than what typical GoPros used to feel like, and it's a little bit larger. Now, this is not a GoPro. This is actually a faux pro, but this is similar to the size of the old GoPros of yore. And if you look at it, it's a little bit larger here and a little bit thicker. And again, like I said, it's a little bit heavier, but that's okay. It's not totally a deal breaker, if you will. It's perfectly fine if you want to just hold it like this in your hand, because why? It has a front LCD screen allowing you to fire this thing up and check yourself out if you want to do a little bit of vlogging. So I'm gonna turn it on now. Load time is pretty quick, and I'm looking at myself right here on the mic in this LCD screen. This is great. If you want to vlog with this allows you to see yourself in the frame nice and easily without doing all of the guesswork and things like that. This is the back panel. The LCD on the back is a touchscreen interface. It is fairly responsive. I had a little bit of struggle with it myself because I guess it's just my fingers are too big at times, but swiping through it is fairly simple. My problem was actually tapping on the different buttons here. Like this button here is for the stabilizing and leveling of the horizon. You can slide it up and down and change the different settings and so forth. But overall, it was pretty good. Just every now and then I struggled to get in some of the settings and make adjustments pretty quickly. But right now, it looks like I'm able to do it. Maybe I need to hold it this way next time I work on it. Who knows? And again, the charger is a USB-C connection. SD card goes right there. The battery is here. That's the USB-C connection. You close this down. It is super duper tight and weather sealed and ready to go, like so. And then you have the bottom feet where you can put in additional accessories to mount it to a tripod and things like that. That's typically what I did. I had it mounted to a tripod and a Gorilla Pod just to play around with some different test shots. But quite frankly, you don't necessarily need the handle that came in that package here. This is fine if you mount it to that, but you can really just hold it in your hands like this and hold it up in front of you. No different from holding this little handle here. It doesn't change the point of view much, and it'll save you an extra $50. That's just my 2 cents. It also allows you to take this lens off, unlike the previous GoPro. You can take this lens off and buy an additional lens for $99. This is more of their cinematic lens. It's going to give you a slightly wider field of view. I don't recommend it because I think this lens is perfectly wide enough. GoPro offers a couple other different modifications. They even offer an extra light, LED light, that you can attach to the top of the GoPro, or you can buy a separate microphone that you can attach to it. This thing is, I think the microphone isn't necessary. You could use the internal mic because it's not that bad. But if you want to go ahead and opt for that mic, the directional mic is another $80. The LED lighting is another $50, but I think that's probably the better value because this camera is going to perform so much better when it has more lighting to work with. The GoPro Hero9 Black also allows you to control it remotely using your mobile device. The mobile app on it is pretty quick and pretty easy to use. Just make sure you're not connected to a VPN because that's going to slow it down as it's trying to negotiate the connection between your mobile device and the actual camera's Wi-Fi. So make sure that's disconnected, but then it's pretty quick and smooth after that. Really, really nice interface and intuitive, not laggy at all. Nicely done. There's even some voice controls allowed on the GoPro. You just have to memorize what those commands are. I tried it a couple times. Not necessarily something I think would be required, but it's there if you need it. Now, this thing also allows you to use it as a live stream camera, but there's a catch with that. You can live stream from your mobile device up to YouTube or Facebook Live and things like that. But that's not necessarily the case if you want to set it up in your home studio and just do like a live stream over to different platforms, the same way we would do any other broadcast, if you will. It has the USB-C connection, so you can plug it into your computer and it'll be recognized as a webcam if you're on a Mac. Unfortunately, if you're on Windows, this isn't available yet unless you sign up on their Facebook group and get the beta package. I'm a Windows guy, so I wasn't able to test it out. And quite frankly, I'm not getting a Facebook account. I'll pass on that. So your mileage may vary. If you're interested in trying it out as a webcam, you can try it out for the Mac for free. Just sign up and get it and download it. But if you want to do it on Windows, join the Facebook group and they'll allow you access to get the public beta. This thing is pretty nice. Again, I'm not going to sit here and say it's the action camera for me because I'm not an action camera guy, but I did enjoy trying to set up just regular landscape shots because of that wide angle. It's allowing me to shoot, again, 20 megapixels. You can shoot it in RAW or just use the JPEGs. The JPEGs looked okay, and the RAW files look okay. There was a little bit of noise, but that's something that you're going to have to deal with when you're shooting with any type of camera that has an image sensor around 1/2 inch in size. So you have to take into consideration low light image noise is probably going to show up a lot faster than it would on, say, an APS-C camera sensor that's going to be a lot larger in size. But I want to talk a little bit more about the vlogging experience with this, but before we do that, I'd like to thank the fine folks at LastPass. This episode of Hands on Tech is brought to you by LastPass. Now with 25 million users and 70,000 businesses, it's no surprise why they are the award-winning #1 password manager. They help you transition your remote workforce. Single sign-on manages employee access and centralized view, so IT always has insight into who has access to what from where. LastPass has won 8 awards this year. You don't have to just take our word for it. LastPass speaks for itself. Visit LastPass.com/twit to find out how they can help you. That's LastPass.com/twit.
Okay, so with regards to vlogging on this GoPro, it's pretty nice and convenient for a couple reasons. First, you have the wide angle lens right here in front of you. That's going to allow you to get a beautiful point of view and a beautiful framing for all of your shots, just as you're talking into it. Very similar to the wide angle of a smartphone. Right now, I am currently shooting at 4K 60 frames per second on this GoPro Hero9 Black. On the Pixel 4, I am shooting 4K 30 frames per second. So the frame rate is a lot better over here on the GoPro. Not to say the image quality is too much better, but it's going to be a little bit better in my opinion. Another thing to consider is the actual audio. I'm outside here vlogging and there's a little bit of a breeze. So you have to consider, if you're going to use the audio on a GoPro or anything like a smartphone or a standalone camera, you might want to get an additional mic source on there, something that you can cover up. The mic on the GoPro sounds pretty good, but you don't want to fight with the wind blowing into it and causing a bit of a ruckus. The front facing screen on the GoPro is a nice touch because you can see your framing. Now it's a little bit choppy as I move around. It's not necessarily as smooth. There's a little bit of jitter, but that's something that most people could deal with on a regular day-to-day basis. Where the magic happens is the stabilization. I'm just going to walk around a little bit here so you can see I'm not necessarily walking slow, nor am I taking smooth steps. I'm just walking normally. And the stabilization on this compared to the smartphone stabilization is night and day and way better. But another thing to consider when you're using this for vlogging is the sensor size. Right now, I'm going to walk out into an area that's going to give me a little bit more light, and you'll see a difference in the image quality. Back there in the shadows, there's going to be a little bit of noise. Out here in the sunlight, it's a lot better. Something else to consider with this as far as image quality is GoPro allows you to shoot in a flat profile, which is something similar to shooting in log on a DSLR or cinema camera or something like that. It's not necessarily flat, but it's close, so you can still get away with some good post-processing and adding in different looks to your final footage and really making it pop. Quite frankly though, the saturation and vibrance of the GoPro 9 Hero Black is quite nice. One thing to consider though, because you have that tiny sensor on here and you're shooting in 4K or even the 5K resolution, you're going to get a little bit of moire right here in some of the things like these leaves here, and you'll notice it as I move around. It'll look like a little bit of like little bits of static in the trees. So that's something you have to take in consideration. If you're shooting in 1080, it doesn't look as bad, but it's definitely noticeable when you're shooting with a higher resolution such as 4K or 5.2K. Again, the biggest selling point to me with this GoPro is the stabilization when you're using it for vlogging, or heck, just using it for anything. But stabilizing during vlogging, this is the best, period. I know Insta360, their 1R, has a nice stabilization algorithm in it, but this one is probably the best that I've seen. I'm literally just walking on a trail, a little bit angled. This is on the side of a hill. I'm not slowing down my steps. I'm not trying to hold it steady, but this image is going to be super smooth. It's truly impressive. And yes, I did say you need to be concerned about the mic on this being an internal mic, but it is way better than the mics on some of those point and shoot cameras that are out there, and it's actually even a little bit more directional. As I turn the camera away, you'll notice my voice is not quite as loud. So they do have a directional mic on here. It's still not quite super cardioid or anything, but it's way better than most.
Okay, the GoPro Hero 9 Black. Should you buy it? That's totally up to you. I'll just leave it at that. It depends on the type of photographer or videographer you are. This thing can capture some pretty nice footage, but it's going to have a little bit of drawbacks here and there again because of the sensor size. Just make sure you have plenty of light for your scene. And if you're going to be shooting in 4K, be sure to take note of the potential moire issues that you're going to come across. I mean, it is what it is. GoPro is not the only camera that's dealing with that type of issue when you're shooting in 4K or higher resolution on these tiny image sensors. I did enjoy walking around with this camera and just playing around with the stabilization and seeing just how strong that stabilization is. And it just takes so much work out of post-processing. Now, pricing on this, again, it's up there. It's going to be $349 for just the camera body, the single battery, and the 32 gigabyte SD card, or you can pay $449 if you don't want to have the GoPro subscription. The GoPro subscription is their cloud-based option. It allows you to have unlimited storage for a year and also allows you to have your GoPro replaced, no questions asked. That's just a 1-year subscription plan there. So for $349, you get the camera and the GoPro subscription. If you opt out of the subscription plan, it's $449. Now, if you want to get the actual bundle, the bundle is going to include the camera body, 32 gigabyte SD card, the joystick, the extra clamps and attachments to mount this thing, and also is going to give you an additional battery. That's going to cost you $399 plus the 1-year subscription. But if you opt out of the 1-year subscription, it's going to cost you $499. Again, thank you all for watching this video. Thank you all for checking out the nice, mighty, fine GoPro. This thing is, it's pretty slick. I enjoyed my time with it. I'm going to have to give this thing back to Mr. Laporte soon-ish. I'll give it to you soon, sir. I promise. You all take care of yourself and continue to create and dominate, and just let me know your thoughts regarding the GoPro Hero 9 and if you've gotten your hands on one. And if you want to share some of your sample footage with me, do so. Share it over on Twitter. I am ant_Pruitt. I look forward to hearing from you. You all take care, and we'll catch you next time here on Hands on Tech. See you.
Keep up with all the hottest tech news and gadgets. Visit TWiT.tv. There you'll be able to find and subscribe to all our tech shows. Thanks for watching Hands on Tech.